The post-game press conference will start momentarily. Once again, if you have a question, please raise your hand and a microphone will be brought to you. I'm going to ask that you identify yourself and your affiliation. Take an opening statement from Coach, then we'll direct our questions specifically to the student athletes first, and we will dismiss the student athletes thereafter.
Yeah, I want to congratulate Tom and his program. You know, it was the 4 Elite Eight games have been just amazing games, and this one was another one. You know, I thought Winston was a difference maker, you know, and whenever we did get a 3-4 point lead or it was close all the time, but he made big plays, either scoring or assisting. You know, he's the best guard we've played against, and had that 10 assists and 1 turnover. It's a big thing. We turned it over a little bit too much, but our guys played their hearts out just like they have the entire year. And these guys have been an incredible group for me to coach, especially at this time in my career, to be around a group that you love being around every day, that have accomplished so much and really have been like had the lead the whole year, you know, with attention and schedule and everything else, and they've handled things so beautifully, and I feel bad for them. They're deserving of like special things, and they have had a special year, but this not going to the Final Four obviously is a huge disappointment for us.
All right, we'll take questions for the student athletes first. Please raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll get a microphone brought to you. We'll start right down here in the middle with Spartan Nation.
Hondo Carpenter with Spartan Nation. Zion, specifically for you, can you talk about Michigan State tonight? Did they do anything that you didn't suspect, please?
No, they did everything we expected them to do. Hats off to them. They're a great team. They played a great game, and Winston. I mean, he took over. So, hats off to them. They're a great team.
Other questions for either of the student athletes? All right, we'll start with Pete.
For both Zion and RJ, I'm just wondering if you can sum up the emotion. You obviously had 2 very close calls, but with the end coming so suddenly, I'm just wondering if you can tell us what's going through your mind right now, please.
RJ, can you start?
I mean, they hit a big shot, and then we came down, and we weren't able to score, and I had 2 free throws, missed one, and that's about it.
A lot's obviously going through our mind right now. We're very upset, obviously, because we wanted to go to the Final Four, but congrats to Michigan State. They deserve it. They played a hell of a game. And, just look around the locker room and see, like, your teammates and your brothers, and you just think, this group probably never will play together again.
We'll go on our guys on our far right-hand side.
Clinton Yates, ESPN, for both of you. I was just about to ask you about that, Zion. For most people look at this as tomorrow being the first day of the rest of your lives. How do you look back on what this season has been for all of you guys as a group?
I mean, I'm not really, kind of looking back at the moment. I'm just, we just lost the game, obviously, so trying to get through that emotion first, obviously, and then maybe in a few days I'll probably look back on it and, think how great of a season we had.
Other questions for the student athletes? All right, Courtney, we're going to go to Zach in the far back. Zach, if you could raise your hand again, please. Thank you.
Zach Brazil, New York Post, for RJ and Zion. Could you describe that last those last seconds when Winston's kind of running away from you, what just that felt like? Must have been a pretty helpless feeling.
Just that it's over. You know, every day we came in, worked our butts off, and you know we really gave everything that we had all season long, and we've had so much success. So to see that happen at the end, you know, all credit to them. They played a hell of a game, but for it to be over for us, you know, it's heartbreaking.
Monica will go right here.
David Hale with ESPN. Zion, I'm wondering if you can elaborate a little bit on the matchup against Xavier Tillman, what he did that was successful against you, and how that battle played out on the court in your mind.
You know, obviously I don't focus on individual battles, but, you know, he played great, solid defense, and, you know, I think what they did was, I think when I'd catch it on the post, they'd bring 2 or 3 defenders so I wouldn't be able to do my spin. And, you know, it was great defense, obviously. So, you know, he played great defense.
Monica will go down here back to Pete.
RJ, I'm wondering if you could walk me through the last sequence. It appeared Henry was trying to foul you before you shot. They didn't call it. And then obviously go to the line. Were you trying to miss the second free throw and missed that missing?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have enough fouls. For, you know, there wasn't enough time, so I tried to miss the second one, and it's funny that it went in.
Any other questions for the student athletes? I think we got time for one more in the far back.
Dave Preston, WTOP Radio. RJ, they turned you guys over 17 times this evening. What was the most challenging part with the way that Michigan State defended you guys tonight?
You know, they were in the key. They were riding at the ball, and you know, getting little tips and stuff like that. So you know, they played great defense. And you know, it was tough that we weren't able to, you know, come out with the win.
All right, guys, you guys are all set. You're dismissed. Thank you. And we'll take questions for Coach K, and we'll start right down here. The 2 questions in the first row.
Hondo Carpenter from Spartan Nation. Coach Krzyzewski, your pedigree speaks for itself as a championship coach. Looking at this Spartan team moving forward, do you believe this team has what it takes to go to Minneapolis and cut down the nets?
Well, they're going to Minneapolis, so they're going to have a chance to cut down the nets. You know, that's the very first step. I mean, look, you know, Tom has a great program, and they have terrific teams each year, and they're always, just like us, they're always knocking on the championship door. And a number of times we've played against one another, and you know, tonight, you know, I think they showed with Winston, you have a player that can make the right play at the right time, and he has tremendous poise. And Trey was playing crazy on him, how hard. And I was impressed just with how well he was able to not just handle that pressure, but still run his team. Like, you know, he had as good a performance as any player has had against us. And in going forward, with the system that they have, the defense they play, the rebounding, and him, they have a heck of a chance. They have a heck of a chance to win it all.
We'll stay right there in the middle.
Winston Linkwister from the Duke Chronicle. Coach, this season's had a lot of injuries, and you've seen a lot of different people step up all up and down the roster. Throughout this tournament, you saw a lot from Javin, especially in this last game. What can you expect to see from him in the future in his senior year?
Yeah, you know, I'd rather not talk about the future right now. You know, let's, just like Zion said, let's deal with the moment and also give respect to the moment of their victory and the moment of our season ending. And I'd rather just deal with that, not to brush you off or anything, but it's tough to think about next year when I'm thinking about how Javin feels right now after a double-double and, you know, playing so well, especially in the postseason. But thank you for asking about him.
We'll go right here.
From the Washington Post, Mike, you mentioned Winston's ability to make the right play at the right time. Is that an experience thing as well as a talent thing? And were there moments in this game when experience showed up?
No, I think it is an experience thing along with talent, and he's as good a player as we've played against. I mean, he's a big time player, and I thought they played older than we did, but that's happened to us. Look, we are young, so especially in the first half, I thought we were not ourselves, and we wanted it too much, I spent most of the first half not X and Oing, but just settle down, man. Just be you, and I thought in the second half we were, but that's going to happen with young teams if the other team doesn't cooperate. So they didn't cooperate. Shame on them for not cooperating. But he's really good. And look, he's coached by a heck of a guy and coach, and he's able to run what Tom is thinking in real time and feel the game. And that really is one of the biggest gifts a player can give a coach. And, he has it probably as well as anyone in the country.
Stay right down here with Pete.
Mike, over here, Pete
Yeah.
Thamel from Yahoo. You've obviously had great teams for a long time. This is going to be remembered as one of your more talented ones. I just wonder if you can reflect a little bit on having this group, and they are young, but not being able to get to the Final Four and maybe fulfill, what you could have done.
Pete, it's a good question. Like for us, we not only set high expectations, but you all set high, which is fine. Like if we don't win the whole thing, then to me, it's disappointing. It's not a disappointment year. Like there's a big difference. Like this team put themselves in a position to go for it and had a chance for it, and so it's disappointing that they didn't get there. But I'm proud of them, and with a young group, you would want as much continuity as possible. And the whole second half of the year, we were with injuries. We were never able to establish that. It started with Trey against Syracuse, and so that's something we battle. Although I will tell you this, I thought that adversity kind of helped make us tougher. So there was some good with that. But you would like the continuity of, even though they've had injuries, to have Cassius run them the whole year. You hear the same voice. You're doing kind of the same thing. But Tom's done a remarkable job with his group, with some of the injuries. And, look, it was an honor I told him, I said, it's an honor to play against you guys. And I'm happy for him. If I'm not happy that we lost, but going forward, he and his program are a deserving program. They do it the right way. They respect the game, and so it's an honor to be in this level of game with them.
We got time for 2 or 3 more. We're going to coach away in the back in the standing room area.
Chase Michelson, State News. Mike, you've been in these one bucket games for 3 games now, apart from Winston. And
I've actually been in for 44 years.
For 44 years.
Yeah, so
before that.
Don't make me a rookie in these close ones. All right.
Of course not. Apart from Winston, I guess, what else did you see down the stretch that you?
No. I mean, I can talk for a long time about their entire team. I mean, they have poise. They play defense. They're going to run good stuff. I thought our defense in the second half was a lot better. But they don't beat themselves, and we were not. We had one critical possession after a timeout where we didn't really run what we were supposed to run, and we turned it over, and And in those, they didn't do that. You know, they didn't do that. But, you know, that's what happens.
We got time for two more.
Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia Inquirer. Mike, when did you know that Cam would be ready to go today, and how do you think he looked out on the court?
Yeah, he did a good job in warm-ups. You know, we felt he thought he would be ready to go, and then he warmed up hard, and then we got him in the game, you know, in the first couple of minutes. He did a good job. Again, he did a good job.
All right, Coach, you're all set.
All right, thank you. And I want to thank Capital One, all the people here. There's this, you know, first-class event, and we've been treated fabulously. In regards to my team, I want to thank everyone for the coverage you've given us. It's been a remarkable year for these young men. Just, I'm not sure another group will have it. A year with all of this, and my guys were terrific in representing themselves and representing our program and representing our great university. So thank you. All right.